I'm Mario Correa, Wills and Trust Attorney, and we received a recent comment to one of our videos requesting that we really go over funding a trust and what that means. And really, when you start talking about funding a trust, you're really talking about asset ownership. And when we're talking about asset ownership, what we're really looking at is there's a piece of paper showing ownership for just about every property. And if you think about it, is you're looking for that piece of paper that shows who the owner of a house is. And most people know what that is. That's a deed. And for a car, most people know that there's a piece of paper showing the owner, and that would be title. But what most people don't know is for financial assets, such as a bank account, a brokerage account. How are those assets held? And for funding those, you'll actually have a contract or a custodial agreement or a deposit agreement. But in essence, it's a contract with the institution as to how your asset is going to be managed. And when we look at that ownership asset governs who the owner is. So I'm going to make a contrast. If it says you, then you're the owner of these assets. Now, what you can do in order to fund a trust is you can retitle the asset. That means you literally do a deed and you call it the U Trust. You literally go to the title and you tell the Secretary of State, or when you buy a car, I want it in the name of my trust. You could actually change title if you need to. Or with your bank, you can go to the bank and say, bank, I want to open up a new account in the name of my trust. And some of the other options is, in order to retitle it, once you retitle it, the trust owns it. The other option, the second option, is using a beneficiary designation. A beneficiary designation is not that the trust owns it yet, it's you own it. And in all these accounts, you can typically do this. The contract will provide a provision is when you die, who's the beneficiary, and you can say the beneficiary is the trust. So this is the second option, is naming the beneficiary the trust. You can do it with a deed. There's a special type of deed that lets us do this. You can do it with title. In the last 2 years, Illinois has adopted a beneficiary designation in title. There are some restrictions. You're not allowed to use a trust with vehicles. You have to use a person. So there are some limitations. And with a contract with a bank, you can name a trust. So you can have the backup be the trust, the beneficiary. In these instances, you are the current owner. But when you die, the contracts or the deed or the ownership document provides who the beneficiary is and how the assets handled at death. There are some unique assets to consider as well when you're doing these designations and changing things around. Those two key assets are retirement accounts and annuities, because there's certain tax implications when you name a trust. So be sure to talk to your advisor. Be sure to talk to an experienced estate and trust attorney when making those designations. I hope this answers your question. I'm Mario Correa, and if you have further questions, please call me at 773-489-8500.